server. So there are two kind of, lately they improved this. You can view, this one might display for you different views at the same time, because other domains you'll find like you're getting a different view. For example, this, you see this domain looks a bit different. This is another domain I've hosted in TrueHost. So TrueHost is another service provider like the ones I mentioned to you. So this is another way you can see. This one can display this way, or there are different kinds of versions of Cpanel. So it's for you just to identify which one really impresses you or works best for you, and then you can use that. Okay. Yeah, so for mine it appears this way because I think I updated something here. There's something here where you set the type of or the version of cPanel that you need to use. That's why mine displays different from this. Yeah, I think this theme, once I change this theme, I say I want this Jupiter, it will appear like the other one. But this one now is paper, I think paper lantern or something like that. That's why it's appearing like that. But you can change your theme based on whichever. Or even some host will customize a bit their cPanel, so you'll find that the cPanel is a bit different. Yeah, so none of our business in that. So let me show you something here. So in here, you log in first to this screen. So there are services that I mentioned to you that you need to know. Under emails, this is where now you manage your email accounts. You can tap in here, create your email accounts. Here you can create your forwarders, you can create your email routing, blah blah blah. A lot of services you're given here which you can easily look up to them. But there I want you to just mark these email accounts. And then on the second one, you can know how under files, you can just learn about the disk usage, file manager, images, directory, blah, blah, blah. But what I want you to mention to understand is this file manager, and also you can research about Git version control, how you can use it within your cPanel. But for now, just learn that this is the file manager. This is where we have our files. SEO, search engine optimization, and marketing tools. These are the tools that you can just go through to just sharpen yourself, but it's not important for me right now. Under database, this is the same PHP admin that you're accessing via SAMP and other platforms. And then you also have these MySQL databases. This is where now you can create a new database, or you can manage all your databases. You can view them, create, delete, and blah, 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 manage them. And also this works the same. MySQL database wizard. This one now is a wizard that helps you to easily create a database. And then there's this for remote MySQL access. You might want to log into your database not through the web, but through a client, a MySQL client like Workbench or something like that. So you might want to know how to do a remote MySQL. You log into your MySQL remotely, so you can research that. This is the support for Postgres SQL wizard, the same as that. PG admin, this is the like PHP my admin for Postgres MySQL, for Postgres SQL, or it's called SQL. The right spelling, the right pronunciation is SQL. Yeah, for domains here, just learn about this. There's the way you set redirects. If you have changed or you have switched your domain from one domain to another, you can set redirects. And also here under domains is where now we create subdomains. Up to there, the rest, SSH, blocker, TLS, blah, blah, blah. You can just go through them, learn how to deploy WordPress application using blah, blah, blah. To the end, that's upon you. You can research it later. But for now, let's start from subdomain. Let's start from file manager. So when you go to file manager, this is where now you can find all your applications and where they are hosted. So you can easily see your different applications where they are, the files, the different files that you've deployed. So for example here, this is the home directory. This is where all our applications are. But the index, the main page that we load under this is usually found here under the public HTML. So whatever content that you put in here, like this index of mine here, is what will appear. This index is what will appear whenever I type the main domain, say bula.co.ke. So this main domain will load this first file which appears under public HTML. That's the main, the parent. Out of that now, if you create a subdomain, so they'll appear like this. If you create a subdomain, for example, this one, for example, let's create our subdomain. Let's say we have here a subdomain called demo.something.something. So this subdomain will ask us if you want to share the root or create uh, a new directory. So if you create a new directory, it will create like this. So right now, if you go to demo.bula.co.ke, it will point to all these files. So how you do it in the other way that I told you about using the dedicated servers is now you repoint this. You, you write something, there's something we call A records. So you'll go and change the A records for this and say this domain. Let's go to domain name creation. So let's say we are creating a domain here. Is it domains? And also you can search here. I usually like searching just here and say domain. So you go to domain. So in here, we find that you can just specify and say, let's say I have a domain, all of these are my subdomains. So you can say maybe I just want to create one domain here. So I can say, let me create a domain like this, .bula.co.ke. So I want a domain like this. So what I'll just say to create a new domain, and then I'll give it a name. So once I give it a name like that and I just say just use that in terms of Bula repository, so it will ask me here, share document root to home Bula public HTML. So that one means you're sharing the home with Bula, with the main domain. But now I can say no, I don't want to share, I want it to. So if I don't check on this, it will automatically create for me as a parent, a home directory called intern.bula with the same name like my subdomain which I've created. So this one is what, once now you create this, it's what will give you these directories here. Then later on you might decide maybe let me go to these domains and then I change. So for the other dedicated server, you just repoint. You'll just write an A record that points to the external IP address that you're having on your VMs. But that one I'll show you that later on. So for now, these are what is supposed to be done. So right now I want us to deploy an app. So I'll free this demo.vula.co.ke. So I'll free this, this directory. So I'll just delete everything so that we can start from scratch. So if I say right now, if I say demo.vula.co.ke, I want it to give me a blank. So I'll just delete everything and leave it as this, and then I'll test it out like that. So this one, initially if you create a subdomain, let me just delete this domain, and then we create a subdomain with you, so that it becomes easier. So how to delete that subdomain? You come here, you just delete this file. Just go to this and then you delete the exact file directory. And then let's create it afresh. Let's say for example this, I don't know why this mine is very slow today. Don't understand. So this one you can have these services, this subdomain loaded. It won't go anywhere because now we don't have any directory set up on it. So let's start by creating this domain. Say demo.bula.co.ke, because now if we go to, let's first go to domains. Let's first see all these domains. So you'll find that there's that domain still here. So you need to delete this. So where you set those A records is you just tap on manage and then you find the A records. That's where you set the A records for the IP address. But so for now, I just want to delete this. How do I delete it? So just select it and I say let me try to manage. I see there's an option for me to delete here. So you can say remove this domain. Yes, remove this domain. That domain should be removed, and that means now this whatever I'm loading here can't find this particular domain. So that one is supposed to give us a 404 or a not found, something like that. Trying to see why my internet is misbehaving. Yeah, so this one won't load anything for us. So let's try creating now a subdomain. So let's test it out. Let's create a new domain. We call it, let's wait for this. This one is trying to load something. Oh, okay, so there's something we call wildcard domain. That's why this one is loading my wildcard. This is just my wildcard subdomain. I'll show you something about the wildcards. So while it's loading some data, it's loading if my domain goes to, if my domain doesn't exist, I have a domain here called wildcard. You see this is wildcard. It means anything that doesn't exist within this and then it goes to bula.co.ke, it will go to this directory. So that's a wildcard directory. That's what I created. So that's why it's redirecting to a very funny page here. So that one will change in a minute. So let's create a domain. So you just go to create a domain and then you say want this domain to be called bula.co.ke. So right now it won't complain because you have deleted the domain, and then you submit. That's how we create. So let's reload this. So once we reload this, at least we expect the output to change, because right now we have a domain created, and then once this domain is created, we have now a directory in here. So if I reload here, that directory that we deleted, it will now appear here. Yep, so you can see this is the demo, and then it comes with two files, htaccess and cgib. No? So that one, just default stuff, so just leave them like that. This one, let me now try to load it in a new tab. If it fails, I'll try caching my page. Yeah, so let me try, or probably it needs some second at least to propagate, but because I don't want to wait, I'll just try with another email because it will take some time to propagate this subdomain. So let me try this, paste it in a different browser just to see what I'm getting. If the data changed to whatever we're getting. So we'll be hosting our view up onto this page. So I don't know why this stuff is taking some time. Taking some time, but let's continue. It will find us ahead. So once I create this now under this demo.bula.co.ke, I should now be able to host my applications, right? So this is where I'll be hosting my applications. Wait a minute. What is happening? What is happening? Yes, there is a... Let me try creating a file here. Just a simple HTML. And then inside it, just put something. Just put something and say hello to it. Just don't want to create those DOM and stuff. After I say it changes, let me try again. Yeah, so you see this one now pointed to my index file. So probably should be able to be seeing that domain that I just created. So let's now try to host our application now, our Laravel and the VueJS application that we are creating. So I want you to be playing around with this. Now, this is the app that we're having. This is our app as I previously showed you. So this is our frontend. It's a Vue frontend, VueJS frontend, and then this is the APIs. So we need all these sent to our server now, as the API and this one as the frontend. So two things you need to know, like in here, I just need to create a subfolder called API, but you can create even a subdomain, but now that one you need to allow CORS because it will block you. So under this, I want my API to go under this and then API. So I'll just create this folder, because if right now I try to locate it, you'll see this one will give us a not found error. But if I create this folder now called API in here, you can now find that after I create that folder and try to reload this, you can now see there's an indexing. And then remember also later on we remove this indexing because it's not friendly. Someone might hack you in a minute or might access your files. So this one we need to disallow this so that we give an error which doesn't expose our directory name and our directory structure. So that one will do it in here in htaccess file. So this is like your configuration file. Yeah? This is the configuration file. So what you usually just do, you just make sure whenever you deploy your servers, you allow indexes. So what you can just do, if you're not sure about that command for indexes, you just say here, just Google htaccess and minus indexes. That will disallow indexing in your file. So people won't be able to download, view your directories and download your files, right? So you just look for one of the one which will be much easier for you just to find, and then pick a command like this. So you see like this one, these are just setup configuration files. You can check them out on either Apache configuration or stuff like that. But where I'm interested at is setting the indexes, the rewrite rule. So for the rewrite rule, I will not find the exact one that I want. For indexes. This is for Apache. Indexes. Did I type the wrong thing? Let me just see. Yeah, disable directory listing in Apache servers. So that's what you're looking up to. So there's this, you just need to write this under your directory folder structure. You just need to say option indexes. You say minus option minus indices. This one is the one now which will give us that ability. So if we add this under here, we say indexes option minus indexes. We just give it some space and say option minus index. So there are so many configurations that you can do with that Apache. I'm just showing you one pretty quickly. So once you save that and then you try to load this, you'll find that right now it will give us a different message: forbidden, you do not have permission to access this. So this is the correct way your apps should be looking like. So you don't need to allow indexing. But for now, I'll just allow it because I want to show you how those APIs should be made available, how you could see the directories. But once now we place it, like to make it open to the public, we'll need to minus those indexes so that you cannot see our files. So right now API has nothing. So what we just need to do, I need to host or to upload these. You can use FileZilla or let any other HTTP client or client that will allow you. It's called FTP client that will allow you upload all these files. Yeah, all these files and the app and our app here. because this is what you're having. So all these files under API should be in that API folder. So you need to optimize your Laravel application and then deploy there. So right now, because of time, I'll not be uploading all of that. So what I'll just try to do, because I have the same API in another directory, so I'll just copy that. So let me delete this and then copy from another directory which has the same API. Why am I doing that? Because copying the vendor file will take a lot of time and might also fail a lot of times before it could be uploaded. So once you manage to upload one of the vendor file, you can just copy it and then overwrite whatever the content is. Yeah? So I have this one here. This is a vendor file. You can zip it and try to upload it, but because of time, I just go to this API that I have already previously, and then I'll just copy everything, because now this one is just similar to what I have here. It's similar to what I have here. So what I'll just be doing, I'll just come in here, uploading my new routes and these things that I changed, my new controllers, HTTP controller, my models, my migrations. Migrations, even I don't need them because I'll not be running migration. I'll run migration locally and then export the DB to the MySQL. So this is what we do. So I'll just try copy this. So what I'll just do, I'll just go to, let me find the one that is updated. So I'll just pick this API folder and then I right click, I say copy, and then where am I copying to? So this domain I'm copying to demo.bula.co.ke. So I copy that. So that one will run a bit fast as light, in the speed of light, and then it will, under my demo now, I'll have a new folder created with that content. Yeah? Where is it? Where is this demo of mine? It keeps on hiding and appearing. Yeah, so here it is. So you'll find this file now. So it has copied a lot of here. So it's still copying. So it will copy all my files much quicker than uploading using the FTP client or maybe uploading a zip file. But it's easy. You'll see how we upload the front end. Then as this one is loading now, as this one is, you can see it's trying to upload all those stuff. I'll now upload so I'll remove this index. So I want to upload my front end now here. So my front end will just come wherever we have that index. So how do we do that? Where we start is, now we go back to our server, we check our front end configuration. There are two files that you need to check. First one is this env, and the second one is this view config. There are two things you need to change here, the same way we were doing locally. So in here you'll find I have a lot of saved data because of my own reasons. I usually do deployment quickly within so many servers, which share a lot of front ends. So in here is where now we configure. So where you are having your local configuration, now we go to production configuration. So you will need to uncomment this. So you need to uncomment this and then comment out the local one. Comment out the local one. And then out of that, now this one set it to point to wherever you're pointing to. So for example, right now, the base URL should be demo.bula.co.ke, and then remember we are hosting the API inside the API folder, and then public API. You can remove this public by putting your index outside the Laravel application, but usually I don't like doing that because later on you might lose your files and maybe you do some mistakes in terms of redirecting, because you need to change some things to make it work. So how I like it is just, because my API will be called at the background, so I just like to leave them as this public. I don't usually convert them so that they become just API. So this is the API URL, the base URL, and then the API URL also will be the same, demo up to where we have public, and then the root API will now be demo until where we are. So after now uncommenting that, we are ready to build this app. But then remember there's also this view.config, so you need to set up something here. So you go to this .config, and then you have to create one depending on what you are deploying. So I think even there's one here matching that name. So yeah, so you say the this one is like telling it the base URL, setting it in the env file, that whenever you're doing a production, you now, if the environment is production, do this, set the env, the node environmental URL as this, the base URL. But if you're doing a local, do this. So it's just setting up that parameter. So once this and this is set, you can now close it and build your application. So how do you build? You just go here to the app itself, and then let me just start it from fresh terminal. So you go to your terminal, then navigate to your front end. So you navigate to your front end. So the present working directory is .co.frontend, and then you run npm run build. So that one will build this application into the dist folder. So you'll see there's a here called dist. Yeah, so it will build using Vue CLI service. It will build my application. That's my front end application into a runnable or executable bundle of files. Yeah? Yep. So that is what the exact files that we'll have inside build is the same thing we'll be deploying onto our home directory for that demo. It's what we'll be deploying to our home directory. So let it complete. As it completes, let's see what happened to our APIs. Do we have all the files? Yes. So at least now we have all the files deployed in here. So later on we'll come and change the env to point to our exact database before we do anything. But first, before that, let's first to our server. Just give it a minute. Depending on your machine, it should take just some few minutes. Depending on your machine and your app itself, it will take some few minutes to build that. Alright, so for the time being, as that one builds, you can, I hope I won't confuse you. So you can be checking at something else. So here under the env, if you edit this and view this env, you need to point to our exact database. So in here, there are two things which we will set. So we will try to set some two things in here. So what I'll just do, I'll just have to set up the password and then the database name and the username. So this will be my username plus my password plus blah blah blah. But now, how do we set up this? So this one, I'll change my database right now, I'll call it demo. So how do we create this database called demo? That's what I want us now to do. So I'll say this, assuming that is the password, I'll say demo, and then I'll save this, and then I just close that file. So I've set that, but I don't have my database. So let's go and set up our database. So go back to your Cpanel. You can click there at home. Go back to your Cpanel, and then you create a database. So you'll go to PHP, to MySQL database. There's PHP but that one you can't create database inside it. So you'll go to MySQL database. So right now, if I go to PHP which I showed you previously, this one will allow you now to fetch your data, see all the databases, manage your data, query some tables, write some queries on your database and stuff like that, preview all your database, depending now on the user that you're logged in as. That will give you those access. So let's check it in a minute. So for now, we can say you can delete this database. How you can delete it and export. I think you know how to export and import. Do you? Yeah. So let me just show you. So assuming you don't have this database here, so I'll just delete this bula.co.ku, that demo database. So that one you go to MySQL. You just search for MySQL. You'll find these MySQL databases. So in there is where now you can easily manage it. When you go to MySQL database, it will just tell you, it will just show you, just delete it. delete that permanently. So even if I refresh here, you'll see we won't be having that demo database. So I want to create it afresh. Yeah, so I've deleted that. So I want to create a new database. So what you do first, but notice that not every time you'll be deleting database and creating new database. I'm just showing you in case you want to deploy your app. So you just say the database name will be called demo, but it will have this prefix. So you just allow it to have that prefix. So you tap on that create database. It will create that database for you. Then you go back. So once that database is created, remember one thing, you need to assign a user, because right now you cannot see it. You can still not see it until now you are set as a user for that database. Yeah? Probably others will see it, like this is the admin. I think the admin can see it, but there are other things that you won't be able to do in it if you are a different user, or you are given access, like for the remote access users and stuff like that. So in here you will see the database is here, but now we don't have any user attached to it. So even whatever we set on our env won't be picked. So we need to do that again. So what we need to do is come here and then say add user to. If you're creating a new user, you can add them here, then create that user. Else you can now come here to add user to your database. So I can say I want to add this app user to my database. So my database name is demo. So you select the user and you select the database, and then you say add. Before that, it will ask you for the roles and rights that you want to give that user. So it will bring you to a next screen, which will give you the roles and the rights that you need to, the privileges that this user needs to have. So depending on your type of user, you can select whichever right that you want, but for me, I'll just pick all privileges, and then I say make. So that will add that user to my database. That's what will happen. So let me go back and show you. So if I go back there, you'll be able to see now my database here, demo, has this user right now. So we are good to go. So we are done with the database. The only thing remaining now is importing data. So you can see in here, we have no data inside it. So we'll come later on and import some data into it. But let's now see if our API now is running, because we changed something on the env. So let's try and see if our demo API will work. So we'll come to demo blah 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 and then /API. Now remember, this file directory will only show if the indexes is turned on. So if we turn off the indexing, you will not be able to see this, but I told you it's on right now because you're doing a demo and I want you to see. So see this error, composer detected issue in your platform, your composer dependency required PHP version 7.4. That's why I told you you need also to learn something that I mentioned here about PHP multi-manager. I think I mentioned something like that. I mentioned something like this, PHP multi-manager. So that's what you need right now. So what you need is go here, because it's complaining, go here under home. Let me open a new tab so that you don't close that. So under home, you search for PHP multi-manager, or you go down and look on it on this directory. So you'll find this PHP multi-PHP manager. So find that, click on that, and then it will take you to where now you manage your versions of the PHP based on your backend now, how you have deployed your Laravel application. Which version of PHP did you use to? So it will give you the number of support for the PHP supporting, and telling you which one are deprecated and stuff like that. So what you need to do is to select the exact subdomain that you're changing the PHP version for. So this one you're changing for this demo, and then we are setting the version to, it was complaining it needs requires a PHP version not lower than 7.4 point 0. So I'll just find here 7.4.0, and that's it, and then I'll just tap on apply. So once I have the same way like you see there, and that one now should go with this error that you're having in here. So if you refresh the page, it will now complain of other things like temporary unable to size your server due to maintenance, downtime capacity, blah blah blah. Let's refresh it to give us some, yeah. So it was just doing some background services. So our Laravel app is well set, but now we can't call, like if I say this login user, it can't work because simply we don't have now our databases, our blah blah blah. Or is user log? Is it user log? The ones that give us the list of all users. So it will complain because also our database do not have the exact tables that we need. Yeah, so before we export and import this data, let me look if our front end was done. Our front end is still taking some time. I'm really worried if there's a problem with my system or what is really happening. Probably my system is so slow, or maybe it's because I'm recording the video. I don't know, but we'll check it out. So as this one goes, let's try to deploy our database. So in your local machine, what you need to do is go to your API and then do the artisan migrate to migrate the database. So you just do that to migrate your databases. Let's see if that one runs. So if it runs, then we'll pick that and update it on our connection refuse table, show type table, blah 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 blah. Let me see, probably my sump is off. This one I'm really worried about this. I don't know if this one will be able to complete for us. I'm really worried about that. Let's see. Yes, so let me start this up. Let me just tap on start. So this one will ask me for the user password, and then it should be able to open for me the MySQL server. So out of that, let me wait for it. At least it should change this status to running. So let me just wait for it. Once it changes that status to running, that's when I'll be able to try this again, right? So let me even keep on trying. If this machine doesn't behave in the right manner, I just have to show you on a different machine. Because probably, yeah, so this one is running. So let me try again. Connection refused. Unknown database POS. So we can create that database, but let's create that database with the name that we want it online to make it easier for us. Not like a mandatory thing, but let's just make it easier for us, right? File it. So let's call this one disabler.demo. That was our name up there. So just copy that on our local host. So just go to our local host. Not really, I'll just say localhost. Then you can even go phpMyAdmin directly. So you can just say, for my MAMP, I've deployed phpMyAdmin as PMA to just make it short. And then in here, I'll just log into now the local server. That's where you want to create the database so that you can export it later. So you just go there, log in and create a database. This machine is really misbehaving. Machine is really slow. I don't know the reason. Let's just move by it. Let me see my front end. This front end of mine, let me cancel it and try to run it again. Let me just try to build it again. So just run the build again. Yeah, so this is my database in here. So I'll just create a simple database here, and I'll call it COK demo. And then so this one now, if I try to migrate, it should be able to see that database. So I'll go to my backend, command executor, and then I'll run it again. So that one will create the tables inside our demo database. So from there you can just easily export that, and then you go to import in your online database, just to make things easier. But if you are using maybe dedicated server, we couldn't have to do all these steps. What we just do is go to the app itself, the Laravel app, and run this migration using the terminal. But now, because we have a limitation in our shared hosting, this is what we are left to do. So after that, I just close this terminal and wait for this one, the one that builds. So when you go to your database right now, you'll find some data created. You'll find some nice data created. Yeah, so you'll find your data is created, and so these are the tables that you're having. So what I just do, I just export these as SQL, and then I'm done with the local server. So I'll just tap on export. I'll tap on export, and then I'll do an export. I don't know why this machine is crying a lot. Huh? The reason I don't know. I hope this video won't come out with a lot of noise. Just hope so. But let's see. So once you export that, it will give you a simple SQL that now you can upload onto your server. So once this one is running, once it's done, I just shut down my local server because we now do not need it anymore. So I'll just wait for this to complete downloading, and then I turn it off. Yep, so let's see now. I'm really worried about this, so definitely if this one fails, I'll have to pick another machine for the same. Let me just hope it will give us some success this time. Let me just be patient with it. And so after this, we are supposed to have our download. Yeah, so this is the SQL database download. So out of that, I can even decide to shut off my mump because I'll not now need it anymore. And then I close that local server. So I'll go to my online server and then find that database, this one, and then I'll import the new database into it. So I'll just pick the file here, the MySQL file, and then I import. As easy as that. So we have already created our database, and we have deployed our initial data inside it. So this is the MySQL. Just add it there and then run it. So that's in a couple of seconds it will create for us that database. I think I know why my machine is crying a lot, because we are having another meeting also, so it's live broadcasted. So that's why probably I'm having the same problem. So after import, you'll find that this database of yours now will have a lot of tables inside it and created. So up to there, we are done with creating the database. So we have the API deployed, we have the database, but now we are waiting on the front end. So this front end is what now we are waiting for it to run. So what I'll do, I'll cut the video and then I wait for it to run. Once it's done, I'll come back and then we continue from there.